The small little voice. Let me tell you about the log with my name on it. It was a good sized white oak, about 30 inches in diameter. It looked so innocent lying there on top of the load, slightly scotched by the top of the log bolsters. It certainly was not going anywhere, with the chains across it and snug down by the chain boomers. The standards that held the logs in place on the passenger side of the truck were hinged so that they would break away when the trip mechanism was activated. I flipped the handles up on the log boomers, releasing the tension on the chains, removed the boomers, and threw them into the truck floorboard. Along about now was when I saw something happen that was the first in my life. In the 1970s, very few women drove big trucks, school buses, or anything much larger than a pickup, so I was a little anxious to see how things played out when this woman pulled onto the log yard driving a F800 Ford Tandem loaded with logs. A cant hook was a 3 to 4 foot long handle with a big metal hook to stick into the logs and roll them. Some had metal teeth on the end of them with a hook, and some had a 3 to 4 inch long steel spike. This I can see as if it happened yesterday. I'll never forget her sort of floating out of the truck cab, grabbing a cant hook and sticking that sucker in the ground. I remember thinking how it reminded me of something John Wayne would do. She proceeded to unchain her load, trip the standards, and unload. I saw right away she had done it before. I had just witnessed a preview of a change in the role women would play in our world today. Listen to that small little voice. It doesn't just warn you of danger, it sometimes helps you have a better day. For instance, my truck loaded with coal died in the middle of an intersection. The Kentucky State Police headquarters was within a stone's throw of my truck. I had absolutely no idea what the problem was with the truck engine. I did know the truck location was a problem. You don't just push 30,000 pounds over to the side of the road. I was thinking, what in the world am I going to do? Then the little voice said, "It's the condenser in the distributor." I walked up the street to the parts house, bought one, installed it, and it just started just fine. I was gone at least 15 minutes to the parts house. I just knew when I got back to the truck it would be surrounded by state police, but not a one was to be seen. I guess everyone just went around the truck and made the best of the situation. I'm sure today not only would it be surrounded by police, and hazmat would probably be there. How many times have changed? Another time I was told not to pick up a piece of firewood by the end that was laying on top of another piece of wood. Under the end of the piece of wood was a coiled copperhead snake. I have very little doubt if I had picked it up in that manner, I would have been bitten. That would not have been a good day, for sure. So slow down and listen. Now let's get back to my situation. I always unhooked the chain from the truck frame on the side opposite from the trip standards. I would then flip the chain, rolling it over the load. That would usually unhook the other end of the chain. I could then push the chain back over the top to the load. I accomplished that feat with no back chain, no problem. It was the front chain that had to be different. As I was pulling it, sliding it over the top of the white oak log, that small little voice said, "Look up." And I did just in time to see it start rolling. That gave me a second I needed to jump back out of harm's way. I can't help thinking about how different my life would have been had angels not kept me out of harm's way. A day to be thankful, and remember never to ignore that little voice that seems to be there in times of danger. Think back in your own life about how many times you have been warned. Some may call it a gut feeling, but whatever you call it, I think you will have to admit it usually has your best interests at heart.